I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to all of the drama between Apple and the court case between Apple and the Fortnite devs, Epic Games. If you guys have not been paying attention, I will go over it briefly, and then we'll talk about the final verdict, which was the judge ruled a final verdict, which impacts a lot of mobile gamers, which, I mean, that's what this channel basically is. Definitely on Apple, and may eventually bleed over into impacting Android users, into Google Play users. Not directly, but could be something that happens in the future to there. So let's get it started. Let's discuss what's actually... So this is the prologue. I just want to give you guys... I just wrote out a little thing to explain to you guys beforehand if you guys are not familiar with what's actually happened so far. So when Epic Games Fortnite was introduced to the Apple App Store, it tried to bypass Apple's App Store by allowing its own App Store in the game, which violates Apple App Store terms of service. Epic Games Fortnite, huge game developer, huge game. They stood to make a lot of money by doing that, right? Or lose a lot of money by using Apple as the in-app purchases, the store that they go through. Fortnite was kicked out of the App Store, to which in response, Fortnite developers Epic Games sued Apple. I mean, it's a billion-dollar company suing a trillion-dollar company, so it's very big, and it had a lot of media attention too, so I'm sure maybe some people already, or probably a lot of people already knew about this, but trying to claim it was antitrust, to which Apple responded that it didn't allow third-party payment methods in-game to protect its users. Keep in mind that for most App Store purchases, Apple takes a 30% cut, so that means if you buy a $100 microtransaction, $70 goes to the developer and $30 goes to Apple, which has net them billions of dollars a year from the mobile gaming sector alone. So when they say protecting our users, they really mean we like the billions of dollars and want to keep making that every year from mobile gaming. So this is how, this is not an ad, by the way, guys. This is just, I just want to explain this. This is how things like Amazon Coins and other methods are able to give discounts since they're offering the developers to take a smaller cut for themselves. Because like I said, Apple's going to take, if Apple wants to take a 30% cut, then Amazon's like, we'll take a 15% cut or something less because they want to make a name for themselves in the mobile gaming scene. That's how they're actually doing it. Okay, so now on to the news about the judge's ruling. Now you guys know about the court case. Fortnite Epic Games was trying to allow their own payment processing to happen that just bypasses Apple, and Apple was like, no, we want to make those billions of dollars. You're not allowed to do this, and we don't want you to, we don't want Fortnite to think that, you know, or we don't want other devs to think that because Fortnite can get away with this, that they can get away with it too. So, yeah, it was a big court case, right? So Apple has been ordered to, so this is from Bloomberg. I'm just reading stuff from Bloomberg now. It says slightly edited. I took some things out because they didn't pertain to the story. Apple has been ordered to make the most significant change to its App Store business model since launching the platform in 2008, and it could cost the tech giant a few $billion annually. In a ruling Friday, U.S. District Judge Yvonne Gonzalez Rogers said that the company must give developers the option of bypassing its commission on in-app purchases, a cut that runs as high as 30%. That includes letting iOS apps use buttons, external links, or other calls to action that direct customers to purchasing methods other than Apple's payment system. So they're not directly, it's kind of, the distinction is like you can go to other sources, but it can't be purchased in the game directly. From what I read, a bunch of different things on this, but apparently that's the situation, is it can't be purchased in the game directly if it's from the Apple App Store, but they can give people buttons to go to other websites to purchase things, and then give them the account information, and then you go back to your account and it's in there. So it already sounds sketchy, right? You're like, wait a second, isn't that what we've been taught to not do? It's a blow to Apple, but one that would one that the world's most valuable company can likely absorb, and Apple dodged an even bigger risk that the judge might determine that it was a monopolist under either federal or state laws that may have helped some investors take the decision. So that's just stock stuff. Apple's commissions from the App Store generated an estimated $6.3 billion last year in the U.S., with most of it coming from in-app purchases and subscriptions. That money is what's at stake as games and other apps prepare to steer consumers away from Apple's payment system. So how much does Apple stand to lose? That all comes down to how many developers that try to bypass its payment system. Loop Ventures' Gene Munster put the range at $1 billion to $4 billion, depending on how many developers take advantage of the new policy. I think that the bigger developers are going to take advantage of this. The smaller developers are going to be like, I'll just use Apple because it would cost too much to design their own payment processing thing, like on a third-party store. If it's like a tiny game, it really makes no sense to do that. They're just like, I'll just use Apple. It doesn't matter. Apple depicted the ruling as a victory, signaling that it's not too worried about the financial impact. The court has, again, it's $1 trillion company, so losing a couple $1 billion, it sucks. But the company Apple is so tremendous with so many fingers in so many places that it's not the end of the world for them. But it is, it's still billions of dollars of a loss, so... the court has affirmed that we've known all along the App Store is not in violation of antitrust law. And I feel like Apple is still going to do things to highly discourage companies from going to outside payment processing. They're going to try to do whatever they can. So even though companies are allowed to now, they're going to probably do things that like, okay, if you have other sources of payment processing, guess where your rank is going to be on the App Store. Guess how many editors' picks we're going to give it. They're going to try to make it as, they're going to try to do as much as possible to discourage that kind of behavior, I'm sure. But the court has affirmed what we've known all along. The App Store is not in violation of antitrust law. Success is not illegal. Apple said in a statement. Kate Adams, iPhone makers general counsel, ruled the ruling of... Okay, so this is just more stuff, whatever. Apple's adversary in the trial, Epic Games, the maker of Fortnite, also contended that the judge sided with Apple. It isn't a win for developers or for consumers, Epic chief executive Tim Sweeney said on Twitter. There's a lot of stuff in here that's fluff, but there's some stuff that's relevant, so I'm just trying to... Again, this is Bloomberg. This is something from Bloomberg. I wrote the first thing and I wrote the last thing, but a lot of this stuff is from Bloomberg. So earlier this month, Apple said it would allow developers of so-called reader apps to point users to outside purchasing methods. That category includes media services such as Netflix and Spotify, plus news and book apps, but the decision Friday means the rule will have to apply to games and other categories as well, which have historically generated much more revenue for Apple. Yeah, if people are spending $10, $20, $30, $40,000 on mobile video games, of course it's going to generate a lot of money. Apple said it's too early to determine how or when exactly the change will be implemented. Could just happen a long time from now. The judge hasn't said exactly when it's supposed to happen. Gaming apps account for about 70% of all App Store revenue, and that comes from less than 10% of the platform's users, whales. According to the ruling, those big spenders help offset the more than 80% of App Store accounts that generate virtually no revenue. So basically, whales footing the bill for free-to-play users across most apps. Apple made about $3.8 billion in U.S. revenue from games in 2020, most of which came from in-app purchases, according to estimates from Sensor Tower. Even if the ruling ends up costing Apple a few $1 billion a year, that's still a small fraction of its total revenue, which is what I was saying before. In fiscal 2021 alone, company estimated to bring in more than $360 billion, meaning that the change won't make or break its overall financial performance, and many developers may choose to stick to Apple's payment system so they don't have to build their own web payment platform, which is, again, another thing that I mentioned earlier. Judge also didn't force Apple to change its fees or let third-party app stores on its platform, which has been a far larger blow to the company's revenue. So you can't go on the Apple App Store and be like, oh, this is the Amazon App Store on the Apple App Store, just like how Google doesn't want the Amazon App Store directly on the Apple, like competing app stores on there. So that's why it's saying like the in-app purchases it's going to be where users download the thing from the Apple App Store still. They play the game, and then, hey, you can buy this thing directly from, like, for example, you can buy a $100 Summoner's pack from Summoner's War directly there, or maybe you can go to this outside, there's going to be a button in the game potentially, or any other game, I'm just using Summoner's War as an example, where you can click, go to Hive, go to Com2Us website, whatever, you can buy the thing there, and then you go back to the game, and then boom, it's in your inbox. In the game. So, the ruling states that Apple must let developers communicate with customers through points of contact obtained voluntarily from customers through registration within the app. Last month, as part of a minor concessions designed to settle a class action lawsuit with app makers in the U.S., Apple had already agreed to allow those direct communications between developers and end users. Man, Apple really wants to have a strangle. I mean, they're making so much ridiculous amounts of money that, of course, they want to have a stranglehold on everything, and they don't want to give any slack to anyone else. Like, this is billions of dollars that they are making, and they stand to lose. And it's not like Apple is developing the apps or anything. Apple just has the App Store because it's on their phones. So, the ruling in the Epic trial only applies to the U.S. The judge's decision could ultimately mean Epic's Fortnite comes back to the App Store. Blah 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 blah. We don't really care too much about that. I mean, some of you might care about that. So Sweeney said Friday, the guy from Epic, that Epic would only restore Fortnite on the App Store when and where Epic can offer in-app payment in fair competition with Apple in-app payment, passing along the savers to. So it's just like, yeah, if we can get all of the money that we really want from it, it's not really about the savings to consumers; it's they want a bigger cut. The ruling is believed to mean that users would be able to make purchases via the web rather than having a competing payment system in apps themselves. That means Epic would need to build a website to let users make purchases that include a link to that site in Fortnite in order to comply with the rules. There's something Sweeney appears to be implying that Epic doesn't want to do. Epic wants a built-in payment system, not the option to steer to the web. In a briefing, Apple said that the reasons for banning Fortnite far eclipsed, this is BS by the way, far eclipsed Epic's decision to offer an alternate payment method, and it's unclear Fortnite would return. It did, however, point to previous comments that it would allow Fortnite back if it returned to compliance with the App Store rules. It's all about money. Don't think that it's not about money. Like, oh, it's other No, it's not. It's all about money. Sweeney said that Epic will continue fighting for fair competition. Again, not about, it's just all about money. Don't think it's anything else. Among in-app payment methods in app stores for 1 billion consumers. I mean, it does benefit more people, like what Sweeney is actually, or what Epic Games in general is fighting for. It does benefit more in the greater picture than just Epic Games. So they're doing it for a greedy reason, but it does wind up ultimately, hopefully, impacting positively impacting the marketplace, positively impacting end users, because the more competition there is, the better it is for consumers, the ones that are actually buying the things. You know, we get discounts and things like that. So the ruling this absolutely does not apply to anything for free-to-play players. They're like, I don't care at all about this. I don't spend any money on any of this crap anyway. The ruling didn't apply to the revenue that Apple previously lost from Epic bypassing its payment system. The judge ruled that Epic owes Apple $3.7 million for missed fees for Fortnite purchases made between August and October 2020. I mean, doesn't Epic already have? Didn't they like reward like a 16-year-old like this much money for just winning a competition? So this is basically, I mean, Epic can definitely afford to pay this. For Fortnite purchases made between August and October 2020. She also said Epic must pay Apple 30% cut for purchases made between November 2020 and the ruling. Apple argued that its tight control of the App Store helps protect consumers and prevent developers from swindling users. And I think this is kind of true, and this is also kind of, I mean, like, there's a lot of Chinese companies that are like, you don't know who you're giving your credit card information to, right? If they were to allow in-app purchases of just directly bypassing the Apple App Store. I mean, we've seen things like the Pokemon games that are not officially licensed Pokemon or officially licensed Dragon Ball Z, and it's just like a company that's like, we don't care about the rules, we don't care about the laws, we're going to make this because we know people will spend money on it. And if there weren't those go-betweens of like Google Play or Apple App Store handling the payment processing, then who knows who we would even be giving our credit card information to, just random companies that are already have no problem violating rules or laws. So, yeah, so I kind of agree with this, but I kind of disagree. It does help protect consumers, but the motivation behind it is greed, is we want as much money as possible. It does help consumers a little bit in the as well. Why is this not showing? So now, in conclusion, the distinctions to be made are that this only allows apps to redirect to third-party payment sources, not that other app stores can be installed on iOS devices in competition with Apple. So how will this affect Summoner's War and other similar games? So Comtuous and other developers the big ones, I think this is going to be the big ones, not the small ones. Comtuous and other developers may consider putting in ways to purchase crystals or packs through Hive or similar for discounted prices. This could be dangerous, as other third-party scam artists might try to replicate replicate the site and scam people or steal accounts. The problem could be much bigger with the scam. I already started to talk about this a little bit. It could be much bigger with the scam games like the illegal, unlicensed Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z games, like the things we've already been covering on the second channel, where they already don't care about rules or laws. They may be likely to now direct people to outside sources for in-app purchases, which may just directly take your credit card information and abuse it significantly more than just whatever $10 pack you're trying to buy. So I know free-to-play players are not really, again, they're like, oh, this doesn't impact me at all. It might eventually wind up impacting you in one way or another, in some sort of trickle-down method. Maybe not directly, but it could change, it could change dynamics of things. So eventually it could impact you in one way or another. This doesn't give Amazon the green light to stick an Amazon App Store on iOS directly. There are workarounds, but still not directly. So it shouldn't change anything with the Amazon App Store. We will potentially see the bigger games offering their own website-based in-app purchases for discounted rates like 10% off, etc. So again, like things like Summoner's War, maybe things like Clash of Clans, like the bigger ones, maybe I don't even know what the big games are out there for mobile. Raid Shadow Legends, guys, the biggest mobile game of all time. So ultimately, I know that this is not Summoner's War content, but this is a channel of mobile gamers. There's all the people that subscribe to this are playing Summoner, have at some point played Summoner's War. So I think that this will still impact a decent amount of people. And again, we'll see. I mean, definitely impacts iOS users that spend money. And then we'll see if it trickles down to also Android users. Things may change there in the future. And then, and it's not going to impact anything just yet. So we'll see. It'll take time for these changes to go into effect. But we'll see how this changes the landscape of the mobile game payment processing situation. So anyway, that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it, got something out of it. Just want to give you guys a recap in case you didn't already know. And I'll see you as always in the next one.